Welcome to another shiur on money matters. Again, it's the shiur is Lezecher Leilud Nishmat Rachel Lea Bat Reb Chaim Tzvi. Today, in today's shiur, I want to talk about a prohibited transaction. What happens if a transaction was made on Shabbat, where, as we all know, you're not allowed to do business? But what is the validity of a transaction that was made unintentionally or even intentionally? And not only a transaction on Shabbat, a transaction involving interest, which, as we know, to take interest, which for a Jew to charge interest is also prohibited. What happens if a deal was made that does involve interest? So a deal was made that is against the law, the Torah law, Jewish law. What is its validity? Let's first talk about the deal on Shabbat. Everyone knows that you're not allowed to do business on the Sabbath. But what if you did? Is the transaction valid? Or do we say that since you did an Issa, since you did a transgression, you were Mechalel Shabbat, by doing business, so therefore the deal is invalid, and either side could back out of the deal? Let me give you a case. There were two non-religious Jews. At the time they did the deal, they were non-religious Jews. They met at a bar mitzvah in shul. They sat together on the back row. By the time they got to the end of Kriyat Torah, these two guys had already put together $1 million deal. At the Kiddush, after the service, the one who was selling sent a text message to his factory where they were working that they should already start packing up the order. Now, if you remember the principles that we've learned before, even though here there was really only a verbal agreement and there was no actual kinyan, the sending of the text message to the factory that they should already start packing up and arranging the order, that would be a kinyan situmta. That's already a point of no return, seeing as the buyer knows that the seller has sent this message and is sending this message. So therefore there's already a transfer of ownership. There's already a kinyan. Neither side can now go back on the deal. It's not just a question of a verbal arrangement where, as we said before, there's what's called mechusrei amana. They would be considered unfaithful people to back out of the deal. But we could say here that because of the custom in the business place, in the business world, that once the order's already being packed up, there's no going back. It's already a final agreement has been made. The deal has been completed. All that's left now is for the buyer to take delivery and to pay. The payment is a debt. So, on his way home from the shul, this guy started telling his wife about what he'd done, this brilliant deal he'd just done that day. His wife was already beginning to be chozer b'tshuva. And so she said to him, listen, what you did such a big business deal on Shabbat, you can be sure you're not going to get any bracha from that deal. Back out of it now. Straight away after Shabbat, phone the guy up and tell him the deal is off. So this was a good husband. Listen to his wife. His wife is certainly right that they're not going to see any bracha from a deal that was done on Shabbat. So on Motzei Shabbat he phoned up the seller. He said, listen, I want to cancel the deal. The seller said, no way. The deal has already been finalized and finished. And he wasn't prepared to listen to the claims of the buyer that if he'd known it was Shabbat, he wouldn't have done it. And he didn't realize that what an Issa is involved in doing business on Shabbat. He wasn't prepared to back out. So the buyer said, okay, I'm going to go now. Let's go and ask a rabbi what the halacha is. Maybe the whole deal is invalid, seeing as the Torah tells us, even if it's just din d'Rabbanan, that you can't do business on Shabbat. So maybe the whole deal is invalid, and I can back out of the whole thing. The answer that he got surprised him. A deal, a kinyan that's been done on Shabbat is valid. Neither side can go back on the deal. There's already been a transfer of ownership. Even though an issa was involved, even though it was a prohibited transaction, nevertheless the transaction is valid 100%, and therefore neither side can go back on the deal, even for religious reasons, that now the guy wants to be Hoser B'tshuva and wants to be a good person and keep the Jewish halakha. That's not going to help him. There's been a transfer of ownership. He now has to take delivery of the goods that he ordered, and he has to pay the full price that was agreed upon. Now, what if there hadn't been a kinyan? What if